Hello, my name's Ross from Loot Audio, returning again to showcase some of my favourite Kontakt instruments. This time featuring the work of 3 different yet equally talented developers. There's some notably unique inclusions in this episode, so make sure you stay tuned to hear them all in action. During the latter half of last year, I had the pleasure of familiarising myself with the curiously unique work of Kontakt experts Atom Hub. Since exploring their vast array of instruments and subsequently putting together an article showcasing a selection of my favourites, Atom Hub products have firmly established themselves as some of my most reached for Kontakt-based tools. Firstly, and perhaps the most widely applicable of the Atom Hub libraries, is Lost Horizon. This instrument emerged top of the pack in my previous Atom Hub showcase and remains a reliably distinct and powerful option. The warm tones found in Lost Horizon are perfect for creating rich, dense atmospheres, with the slight feeling of loneliness and alienation induced by these sounds, making for a more immersive, unorthodox sonic experience. Lost Horizon's dystopian look and feel doesn't rule out the possibility of producing more hopeful and optimistic sounds, however, particularly in the upper registers. Certain patches paired with selective chords can help turn Lost Horizon from a bleak ambience generation engine into a charming, relaxing and soothing instrument that will suitably place itself at the forefront of your mix. This is a great example of Lost Horizon's impressive adaptability. No matter the choice of genre or style, there is bound to be an appropriate sound, especially when layering patches and tuning parameters. On the topic of parameters, Lost Horizon features a great abundance of effects shaping controls. The left-hand side of the interface boasts low-pass filter cutoff, resonance and bandwidth dials, a rotary speaker effect toggle, and distortion drive and tone parameters. The right-hand side houses controls for reverb size, colour and dry-wet blend, a limiter toggle, a stereo width dial, and attack and release dials for simple dynamics control. Finally, the centre of the window contains standard flanger and delay modules, great for adding texture and depth, both of which are notably effective on Lost Horizon's pad-like response. In all, it's easy to see why Lost Horizon never disappoints, whether you're creating cinematic, humbling film scores or engaging, harmonious synth layers. Atom Hub's expertly assembled set of patches are ready to fit snugly into any project. It's not surprising that most modern instruments and audible sounds have been sampled for playback in the digital domain. This only adds to the allure of humanly inaudible sounds, prompting the question, what would music sound like if we could hear the imperceptible? Atom Hub took full advantage of this fascination and created arguably one of the most unusual Kontakt libraries, Microbiology. Consisting of 4 diverse groups of instruments, all working to simulate the sounds of different microbes, Microbiology presents an inventive method of adding organic texture to your soundscapes. The first of the 4 microscopic categories are amino acids. Described as producing longer tonal elements, amino acids are perhaps the most inherently musical collection featured in microbiology. This attribute does not, however, imply that these patches lack the distinct biological character that lends microbiology its great appeal. One of the most prominent and perplexing aspects of microbiology is the naming scheme behind its dials. Ambiguous labels such as genes affected and protein nervosity actively encourage tinkering and customization of sounds, resulting in a far more natural and refreshing sound shaping experience. While Kontakt will display the true parameter mapped to the dial through the text at the bottom of the window, I find that using it blind is much more intuitive and enjoyable. Utilising microbiology in this manner allows you to discover new sounds that you likely wouldn't have otherwise explored. The remaining microbe sounds depicted in microbiology are that of bacteria, enzymes and viruses. Bacteria are represented by bubbly and sporadic background sounds, ideal for adding some organic tactility to your mix. Enzymes, in similar fashion to amino acids, provide a tonal option that retains an ample amount of inconsistency characteristic of the bacteria samples, while conversely, the viruses group implements rhythmic sounds inspired by the aggressive nature of pathogens. If you're looking for some unconventional, unpredictable sounds to breathe some fresh life into your tracks, microbiology is an infectiously fun option. Soundethers Dreamfields is a vibrant atmospheric expression engine that'll have you feeling like the protagonist of a retro space exploration movie. With almost 150 infinitely flexible patches and 4 pages of adjustable parameters, no sci-fi inspired sound is off limits. The various different samples are split into 3 categories: dreamscapes, field recordings, and pads, with the latter 2 being fairly self-explanatory. Dreamscapes is where you'll find the bulk of Dreamfields' most distinctive sounds, although this shouldn't detract from the equally impressive conventional choices. Just a brief look at the centre of the interface will reveal that Dreamfields is a multi-layered instrument, permitting for exponentially more customisable and track-specific sounds. Each layer's gain, pan and tuning can be independently altered, with the above VU meters aiding in the gain staging process. Surrounding the central layer adjustment module are a variety of dynamics and tonal response modification options. Changes to the overall gain attack, decay, sustain and release can be made using the amp envelope, with the pitch envelope providing the same ADSR controls, but instead for controlling pitch. The final component housed in the main page is used to operate a filter. Here too, ADSR parameters are included. The next page contains parameters for defining a range of effects, split into insert and send groups. Interestingly, each effect can be toggled on the fly by triggering the MIDI note corresponding to the desired effect. This feature can be used to create gripping, unusual and experimental sounds. As is typical, effects can be permanently engaged by clicking the toggle below their label. The penultimate page, the rhythm engine, contains step sequencers and LFO modules assigned either directly to the sample source or to the filter effect. In source mode, the step sequencer will define the velocity of MIDI inputs, accompanied by per note gain, pitch and pan LFO modules. Deeply tactile soundscapes are easily crafted. In filters mode, 2 step sequencers and 2 LFO modules can be found, one for pre-effects and one for post-effects. Appropriate use of this page can result in some satisfyingly dynamic sounds, especially when applied to the pad section of patches. Finally, the last page of the instrument offers parameters for controlling a series of standard mixing effects, including a 4-band EQ, compressor, stereo widener, and transient shaper. It should be noted that having access to these basic effects inside of the instrument rather than loading in external plugins can significantly improve the efficiency of your work while simultaneously reducing your CPU load. Ominous, cinematic atmospheres or elegant washy pads, Soundethers Dreamfields proves itself capable of composing movie-grade sonic experiences. Taking a page from Dreamfields' book, Motion is a multi-layered ambience painting tool that places emphasis on modulation and sample relationships. Fundamentally, each corner of the interface features a comprehensive sample playback module. Each sample source can be assigned one of the 230 built-in sounds, all of which can be transposed, dynamically adjusted, and generally modified before being combined to best suit your desired sound. Samples range from field recordings to keys and pads, which when blended result in organic yet musical configurations. Housed prominently at the centre of the instrument is a large XY pad, used to control the distribution of gain between each sample source. The capabilities and power of this pad is where the primary allure of the instrument resides. Unlocking new and creative methods of making music is this device's bread and butter. Navigating to the movement page will reveal 3 different ways of modulating the movement of the XY pad. Once MIDI input is detected and at least one of the movement options is enabled, a faint circle will begin to move, representing the current gain allocation per source, with the solid white circle depicting the movement's origin. It's worth bearing in mind, however, that the circular movement modulator cannot be used in conjunction with either of the other 2 functions. To aid in customizing your sound to an even greater extent, Soundethers have implemented a series of flexible LFO modules, all of which can be found in the modulation page. Each LFO unit can be used to control one of the parameters found in the sample source modules, seen previously on the main page. This includes parameters such as sample volume, tuning, panning, filter cutoff, resonance and drive, and stereo width. Also contained on this page are 4 envelope units, capable of managing the dynamics of the same set of parameters using traditional ADSR dials. The concluding page is expectedly an effects page accommodating for the application of several typical audio effects. These range from chorus and delay components to a convolutional reverb unit with selectable impulse responses. Linking back once again to its sonically similar sibling Dreamfields, Motion's key appeal lies within its ability to output gorgeously rich, surgically specific soundscapes that will populate your tracks with expansive, cinema-grade ambience. It's fair to say that you'll be hard-pressed to find an atmospheric instrument as feature-complete as Motion. In the well-populated yet highly select club of world-renowned, greatly sought-after vintage synthesizers, no instrument is celebrated to quite the degree as those in the Moog family. Whether that be down to their unrivaled sound, spotless reputation, or outstanding consistency, the sheer excellence behind Moog's devices cannot be denied. Such musical prowess does not come cheap, however, with both vintage and modern units comfortably selling well into the 4-figure range, and that's before even considering the notorious repair costs of older hardware. This is where Hideaway Audio steps in. With their modern, software revivals of classic analog gear, industry-defining technology is placed into the hands of the many. In this case, Hideaway presents their Kontakt recreation of the late 70s Polymoog 203A. The original unit offered a collection of 8 preset sounds alongside a variation option which permits a selected sound to be infinitely morphed by the onboard parameters into an unrecognisable analog tone. Hideaway's implementation allows for the stacking of up to 4 layers of included samples, each with their own adjustable pan, gain, velocity, tuning, tone, ADSR and pitch LFO controls. Careful layering can create effortlessly characterful vintage tones, which can be tastefully accentuated by the built-in effects panel. The included samples, labelled as oscillators, offer synth implementations of instruments ranging from harpsichord and piano to strings and brass, just like the real unit. Listening even just briefly to the sounds of the Hideaway Studio recreation reveals the reason for the illustrious nature of the Polymoog and its younger siblings. This isn't a clone or cheaply made piece of modern hardware inspired by a legendary piece of equipment. This is the unit that so many brands attempt and often fail to emulate. If you're looking for the most faithful software adaptation of the Polymoog unit, look no further than Hideaway Studio. The String Collection 2 is the definitive collection of vintage synthesized string sounds that prove themselves more and more popular by the day through their application in countless chart-topping songs. Pulling samples from famed era-defining hardware such as the Roland Juno 106, Prophet 600, Rhodes Chroma and even a 1938 Novacord 346, the standard of the sounds featured in the String Collection 2 is far beyond any other library I've come across. To really ensure that each sound is given the distinctive analog response, the output of each synth has been recorded through a series of remarkably unique and rare analog gear, including a Revox G36 reel-to-reel tape machine, Binson tube premixer, and even a GPO carbon telephone mic. Samples can be combined in a collection of up to 4 layers, with each layer configurable in the same manner as the aforementioned Hideaway Polymoog 203A instrument. Again, the built-in effects console helps to apply appropriate final touches, gluing your layers together. The proof of the String Collection 2's excellence really is in the pudding. Having such an expansive, diverse selection of synthesized string sounds truly is a tool that I didn't expect to reach for as often as I now do. The welcoming, warm sound of these antique instruments is one that is far too easy to get addicted to, but the amount of fun that they offer makes me so glad that I am. Finally, here's a quick jam using a bunch of the showcase products. The String Collection 2 and the Polymoog 203A are being used as the main chord layers, with Lost Horizon supporting the melodic top line. Hideaway's Polymoog is also being used as the intro and outro keys sound. Thanks for watching. The link to each instrument's product page can be found in the description below.